So lately I've been thinking a lot about WordPress themes, like a lot. And I'm really surprised at the conclusion that it seems like we're coming to, because we're trying to figure out like what foundation do we want to have for our agency kind of moving forward. And I've come up with a list of maybe 12 things that we're looking for and 4 or 5 things that we don't really care about. And I want to just kind of share with you the thought process, because I'm really shocked at the conclusion that it seems to be leading us towards. And I want to know if you feel like I'm just completely off my rocker, or if maybe my conclusion sort of applies to your business too. So let's jump in. So the first thing right off the bat, we just want a consistent tool set for everyone to build websites on, so that if somebody builds a site and they're on vacation and I got to go in and edit something, it's like I'm familiar with the environment because we're all using a consistent set of tools. So that's one, consistency. Number 2 is page load speed. Like, we don't really design a lot of flashy sites. Like, we don't have a lot of clients that are like in fashion or architecture design or anything that would be like super in need of like, you know, earth-shattering animations and stuff like that. It's like mostly just local businesses, but we want the page to load quickly because we put a lot of emphasis on local SEO and content marketing, and we want fast page load speed. So that's important to us. Reliability is important, both in terms of the business, but also the tech. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, we really got nailed. One of the businesses that made a theme that we used, they just stopped maintaining the theme altogether, and it's like then we had to go rebuild all those sites, and it's like that was a pain. So like I want the tools that we pick to have a pretty good chance of being around for the long haul, but I also want the technology to be stable. So like when people push out updates, that the updates don't crash all of our sites. Like even like today, there's a couple of people I know that are running Elementor sites. A big update came out today, and they're thinking, well, maybe I need to roll my sites back or whatever because there's a lot of things are breaking. It'd be nice to avoid that. Like, I know sometimes that happens, but like to minimize that risk as much as possible in both of those areas. So when I talk about reliability, I don't want the business to go out of business or even to abandon the technology that we're using, and I want the updates to also not wreck the site and have a lot of confidence in that. So that's what I mean with reliability. The fourth thing that we're looking for is like editor load time. So we edit a lot of pages over and over and over. We build a lot of landing pages, and we're constantly tweaking the headline and the page layout and stuff to try to optimize the metrics for our funnels. And so what that means is a lot of times these pages are really long, and we've noticed, especially, there's one particular site that I built with Divi that I noticed that when I click to edit the page, it takes like 15, 20 seconds like for the editor to load on like good hosting, like on like Flywheel or WP Engine. And so it's like the shorter pages load relatively quick, but the longer the pages, the longer it takes to load, and it's just annoying. And it's like, it would be nice if that didn't happen. I know that Oxygen is also sort of notorious for a relatively long load time for the editor. I think the 4.0 update maybe helped with that some. But like, you know, just in general, it'd be nice if the editor loaded quickly so we could have a fast workflow. Editor stability is also important. Like back to that Divi site I was just talking about, like sometimes I'll drag a module onto the page and like try to drop it in like a column, and like the lines between the columns just start like ferociously vibrating back and forth, and you drop the module and it's like somewhere else. It's like, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens enough of the time to be annoying, and it would be nice not to have to deal with that. So that's what I mean by like editor stability. Of course, you know, the fewer plugins that are necessary, the better too. It's like I don't want to have to like add special plugins to do things that could have been built into the theme itself. So like that's kind of just, I don't want to have too many plugins basically. We do sort of advanced stuff. Like we don't usually write a lot of like custom like PHP code to like put into a site, but we'll do some things that are sort of advanced. Like for example, maybe a particular blog post category would have a different layout than another category, like stuff like that. We're looking for something that can support maybe like a dynamic sidebar or like conditional displaying of certain things. Like if you're logged in, show this. If you're not logged in, don't. You know, stuff like that. It would be nice if that stuff was kind of baked into the mix. Mobile layout optimization is obviously important, so there's got to be good mobile editing tools. Sometimes we'll build sites that have members area. So like not always is the site entirely 100% public, but sometimes it'll be like an online course or like some kind of a membership or whatever. And it'd be nice to have tools kind of baked into the mix to be able to facilitate all of that best as possible. I personally like pre-designed sections of pages. So it'd be nice if the page builder had that functionality built in. It's almost like, I don't think I can think of any examples where I've ever taken like a starter site or even a starter page, like a pre-designed full page, and then just use that on a client site. Like I always delete certain sections that I don't need. Or what I normally do is like I'll import like multiple pages, and so I'll have this gigantic thing, and then I'll delete like 70% of the sections just because, you know, I only want certain modules or whatever from different pages. It just can be a mess. So like what I prefer to do is be like, ooh, that's a really cool call to action section. So let me bring that into the page. Ooh, that's a really cool hero section, or that's a cool testimonial section. I like to be able to pick the sections and bring them into the page rather than have to start with like a whole page pre-designed. So like I'm looking for a theme or a page builder that has that kind of functionality baked into it. And on top of that, it'd be really nice to be able to globally reuse pre-designed sections. And one example that comes to mind right away is we like to put testimonials on client sites and maybe show the testimonials on multiple pages of the client site. But then when we get a new testimonial and we update the page, it would be nice if we could just update it in one spot and that new testimonial would show up on all the different pages. So like globally reusable sections, maybe. I don't know what else to call it other than that. And then the last thing is compatibility with the WordPress ecosystem at large. Like sometimes what I'll do is I'll have to write custom plugins. Like we were doing an evergreen webinar funnel, and I wrote a plugin that had like a timer and everything. So like when the webinar started, it kind of shut down the registrations and stuff. And so like I had this plugin, but the way that it worked was it used a hook on the underscore content, like in WordPress and stuff. And we were also building it in Oxygen at the time. And Oxygen sort of disables the front end theme stuff, which also included that particular hook. So the plugin didn't work with the site because of that limitation. It's like that was kind of frustrating. So it'd be nice if when you picked a tool set, it was kind of in the realm of just sort of working in the traditional way that WordPress does. You know, it's like just kind of following the conventions of the ecosystem. So those are all the things that I'm looking for. A couple things I'm not looking for. I don't really care how easy it is for clients to edit the content because our clients never edit the content. So that's just not even an issue. I don't really care about what the price of the theme is that much, or the page builder. It's like most everything is less than $500. And it's like, I'm willing to spend $30, $40 a month, whatever, to have the infrastructure that runs our whole agency. It's like, I'm not looking to save like $15 on a theme or whatever. So I don't really care too much about price. I don't really care if it's Gutenberg or a proprietary page builder either. It's like, we've tried both. Like I like working with Cadence, and that's Gutenberg blocks and stuff like that, and that works well. But I also like working with Oxygen and Divi and Elementor, and just like I don't care if it's Gutenberg or not. Is basically all I'm saying. And I don't really care at all about white labeling anybody's page builder. It's like that's just not even an issue for me whether or not that feature exists. And I don't really even particularly care about how portable the sites are. Like if you build a site in Divi and then you switch to something else, it's like, well, Divi tends to have these shortcodes all over the place. Like if you stop using Divi, then you got all these shortcodes on your pages. I don't particularly like that. Like I wish they didn't do that. But at the same time, if I'm going to like uproot an entire site, most of the time it's because we're like radically rebuilding the whole thing and we feel like we need a different tool set to make it happen or whatever. And it's like we're basically rebuilding the site from the ground up anyway. So I'm not really expecting to be able to like rip Divi out and put something else in, Elementor in or whatever, and just have it just work seamlessly. So I don't really care about that too much. But with all of that, all of those criteria kind of bundled together into what we're really looking for, the thing that blew my mind was it seems to be leading us to Beaver Builder. And nobody ever talks about Beaver Builder, but Beaver Builder basically checks all of these boxes for us. And the thing that's so surprising about that is nobody talks about Beaver Builder anymore that much. Everybody's looking at all the flashy new things, and it's like, and I am too. Like I'm looking at all the new stuff as well, but what I'm noticing is that the new things don't solve these particular problems. I don't know, we went through 15 or 20 problems. They don't solve that set of issues as well as Beaver Builder does. But Beaver Builder is like one of the first page builders that there ever was. And I'm wondering why. It's like, is my conclusion kind of crazy? Or do you kind of agree? You know, like, what do you think is going on with all of that? And let me know. Like, let me know if you think I'm off my rocker, or let me know if you think maybe this conclusion is sort of applicable to your business too. And if nothing else, you know, give me a thumbs up if you feel like this set of criteria that might help you figure out what kind of page builder you want to use in your business. Now, if you want to hear what I think about hosting, I put a video up about what I think the best WordPress hosting is. You can check that out here. But let me know what you think about this whole page builder thing, and where would you go? Like if you could only use one tool set to build all of your websites for the next year, let's say, what would you pick?